did a religious experience.
Okay.
So the project that me and my partner Bria Anderson did was a religious experience. So the religious experience that we did is we went to an Islamic temple, more specifically an Islamic temple that serves to Moorish Americans. So the Moorish Science, the actual place was called the Moorish Science Temple of America. So the Moorish Science Temple of America is an American national and religious organization funded by Noble Drew Ali, which is the man that is pictured here. And he based it on the belief that African Americans were descended from the Moors of Northwest Africa and thus were Moorish by nationality and Islamic by faith. So the higher power that they believe in is Islam. The higher power that they believe in is Allah, which is a monotheistic religion.
So sort of by Northwest Africa, you mean maybe Mali, Senegal,
Yes.
the Gambia, that area, where Roots, the guy in Roots is descended from.
Yeah. So the location, the temple was located at 1055 North Milton Avenue in East Baltimore. The appearance of the temple was unconventional because it was held in a row home. As you can see, if you look this way and that way, this is just basically a normal neighborhood. And actually, if it weren't the signing there, you wouldn't know that that's a Islamic temple. And one of the sayings that Sunday school master Melvin Valines Bates stated was, "Signs and symbols are for men and women of understanding." And the first symbol or sign that I'm going to talk to you guys about is the Moorish flag. So the Moorish flag is an all-over red flag with a green 5-pointed star in the middle. And the 5 points represent love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And another symbol that they also used in their temple was a circle 7. So it's called the Moorish Science Temple of America. So what they do is they also incorporate science into everything. So they do the science of colors, they do numerology and things of that nature. So in science, a circle represents completion, and the number 7 also represents completion, but it also, in numerology, it represents perfection. So this is just the inside picture of the temple, and if you look over here, if you can see it, there is a circle 7 that is above this gentleman's head. And also, if you look right here on the windows, which you can't really see, they have adorned their Moorish flag.
Hello, everyone. And I'm going to talk about the appearance of the congregation. Here you will see in the front, they're called shikas, the women of the congregation, and they all sit towards the front, and they also sit with their children as well. As you can see, they all have the head wraps. Everyone's dressed in white. Here to the far left is the Grand Sheik. He's like the minister of the whole temple. And then here is the leader of the Sunday Bible study, Sunday worship study, I'm sorry. And also here is also a sheik. They sit towards the end of the congregation just for a symbol of protection. And here it's just the same as what I was saying, the social features. It's a predominantly African American church, although the sheiks of the temple, they do not refer to African Americans as black. They like to call themselves olive. They look at it as though no person is black. We're all of different shades. So like an olive, we have all different shades and colors. Yeah, it is beautiful. Sheiks, like I said, they sat towards the end of the altar. Women were seated in the front with their children as well. But also, there's also like a children worship study upstairs. So like the youth and the adults would sit where we were in the temple, and then the children would go upstairs. And then, yeah, something. That's all. And the congregation behavior, the service was a call and response setting that invited questions. So the minister of the study, he would talk to the congregation and like ask them questions, and they would give feedback to them. Before someone asked their questions, they gave thanks to Allah. Jibril here will demonstrate.
So, as Bria stated, before they did anything, they gave response, they gave anything, they gave praise to Allah. So, actual demonstration, five fingers on your right, 2 fingers on your left. First I rise giving praise to Allah, they say Allah, and then if you were my congregation, I would give praise to all of you as well.
Yes. The congregation would sometimes speak Arabic.
So some of the Arabic words that you may have all heard, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam. Yeah, that means peace be unto you, and then that response is peace be unto you as well. So those kind of.
And during the service, we had to face the east to say our prayer. Also, after the service, the congregation talked amongst themselves. So here we.
And on this is where they came from with their call and response. So this is their questionnaire, and this is their constitution and bylaws.
So the leader that we showed in the picture previous, he was actually asking questions off of that pamphlet there, and then everybody in the congregation would just kind of feed off of what he was saying, or if they had a question or if they didn't understand what he was saying, they would respond. So. And then here it's like their resurrection pamphlet. The Moorish Americans focus more on like their lower self and higher self. So like the lower self is like your temptation, Satan, and your higher self would be what God called you to be, or like what you highly think of yourself. So as you can see, this is like a demonstration of a woman leaving her lower self and then resurrecting into her higher self there. And then this is just a picture of the Holy Quran in which they study from.
Oh, so the men wore fezzes.
The women wore turbans.
One sheep also served water.
All religious leaders in the temple were calm and authoritative, but not judgmental.
All members of the congregation were dressed in white.
All congregation members were referred to as prince, queen, and princesses, and I can also speak from that. Sitting there and hearing a lot of the members saying to a young boy, calling him prince and calling the women of the congregation queen, it was so empowering. Like, you don't really hear that. And I asked the women, the shikas of the church, how they felt about that, and they were just saying, a lot of the times when you're out in the street, they get called boy, or they get called B words, all types of things. So in the church, they wanted to in the temple, they wanted to make sure that you get called something like royalty. So it's very nice.
So, John,
You have 24 seconds.
okay, so
Just a little.
So the worship service.
Okay. So the way that the worship service, it was very structured. It would be prayer, the Constitution, the questionnaire which we passed out to you all. That it would be a dialogue between the sheik and the congregation. The service lasted for about 2 hours, and then the offering was collected towards the general offering. And when the grand sheik answered, all men had to stand.
Did you were you attired properly? Like,
No.
is it okay?
It was okay. They were very accommodating to me, very nice. It was a very encouraging place. And one thing, I actually have a quote here that someone said. It says, Islam practices peace. If you're willing to strap a bomb to yourself, you're practicing your own religion, not the religion of Islam. So, like many others that have said, they have that idea that the Islamic culture is very violent. It's so not that. Like, they're so peaceful, they're so kind, and I had a great time. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
I love the variety of faith traditions that the students experience.